We all get anxious from time to time, both adults and kids. It can be a normal feeling before a big sports game or a class presentation, and that's because these feelings help us to be prepared. Steve, do you ever get anxious?
Sure, I get anxious. When I give a lecture, I get nervous. When I sent my daughter to college, well, it's hard to stop worrying about her living so far away. Hey, worrying's normal, especially about important things. But anxiety disorders, they're different.
That's right. For some kids, their level of anxiety can get really overwhelming. Anxiety disorders are pretty common. Nearly 1 in 3 people at one point in their life will have one.
And the reason they're called disorders is because they interfere with being able to do everyday stuff, like going to school or enjoying hobbies and having healthy relationships with friends and family. The key for parents is to recognize if your child might be too anxious. So what's important to look for? Gene, how might you notice?
Some telltale signs of anxiety can be sleep problems, pacing, nail biting, asking a lot of questions. But there are different kinds of anxiety, and knowing these differences can help you tell if your child might be struggling. So let's go over a few. Steve, how about one that we tend to see in younger kids? You know, kids that can't break away from their parents.
Yep. That's called separation anxiety. The key sign is an intense fear of being separated from parents or other caregivers. It's a fear about them leaving you or you leaving them, going to school or daycare, having a really hard time being left with a babysitter. Kids with separation anxiety may have physical complaints during these moments of separation, like stomach aches or headaches. So that's little kids. Gene, what would you say is the most common type of anxiety for older kids?
For older kids and teens, that would probably be generalized anxiety. This is worrying about everyday things like homework, being late for class or work, regularly worrying about or forgetting something really important, friendships, class, or sports. If you ask your child about their worries, you'll usually discover an underlying fear that something is going to go terribly wrong. And you also might hear of physical complaints like stomach aches, headaches, or pain. Some kids will also have trouble sleeping or getting really irritable. So that's general anxiety. But let's be more specific. Steve, what about social anxiety? You know, we used to call it social phobia, right?
Yeah, that's right. And the reason it was called social phobia is because there's a fear of social situations. Social anxiety focuses on interactions with others. So kids fear being embarrassed in public or in group settings. They might worry about saying something stupid in front of their friends, or making new friends, or messing up in presentations, or making mistakes in team activities like sports. This can lead some kids to refuse to go into situations with groups, which can understandably interfere with friendships, or with school and with other activities.
So it's not a phobia of other people, but of doing something that will embarrass them in front of those people.
That's right. But there is an anxiety disorder that can be linked to true phobias.
You mean panic disorder, which involves having panic attacks. Now, these are physical reactions the body has to feeling like something dreadful is about to happen, like you're about to be hit by a truck, but there is no real truck. Panic attacks can cause a racing heart, hyperventilating, sweating, feeling nauseous, feeling dizzy, or even fainting. They can come on suddenly or happen in specific places like school, malls, riding the bus, driving in tunnels or over bridges. And then these places can become true phobias, so kids will avoid them because they're associated with having a panic attack. So Steve, what should parents do if they think their child might be struggling with some kind of anxiety?
Well, if you notice any of these changes in your child's behavior, first ask them about it. You can say, look, you seem worried about something. Is everything okay? Then you should bring any questions to your pediatrician, who can help you to figure out if there's some cause for concern. Start the conversation by saying, I've noticed changes in my child's everyday behavior that don't seem usual for them.
The good news about anxiety disorders is that they're really treatable, and the earlier you start, the better. So to wrap up, if you have questions or concerns about anxiety in your child, 1, know what to look for. 2, talk with your child about what you see. And 3, talk with your pediatrician or another trusted healthcare provider. He's Steve Schlozman.
And he's Gene Beresin.
And we're the MGH Clay Center, and hope that our conversation will help you have yours.